Okay. All right. Many of you might be curious upon looking at the title of this video. The most trivial thing in all of One Piece, or whatever I'm gonna call it. Probably something to that effect. Throw in an exclamation point or two. Probably, right? Alright, well, I'll tell you what this is about. This is about going to my limit. That's what this is about, okay? Because I get comments all the time about, because, you know, I'm the guy that's made a video about, like, the Straw Hat's favorite ice cream flavors, and I made the tree video, which, by the way, you know, we can all make fun, and there's people on the tree video that are like, man, Tekking made a 30-minute video talking about trees, the most irrelevant thing in One Piece. You know, trees are pretty relevant in the One Piece story. I'm not kidding there. I mean, you got the treasure tree Adam, you got the mother tree Eve. I might do a sequel to the tree video, and I think it would be very warranted, okay? But yeah, everybody's always saying, hey, Tekking can make a video about anything. He can talk for 30 minutes about anything in the One Piece story. Doesn't matter. It could be the most inconsequential, trivial thing in the story. He could do it. I was like, all right, well, let's write this check. Let's see if I can do it, right? And you know what, also? There's a lot of people on YouTube that talk about One Piece, okay? There's a lot of us that are around on the platform, right? And, you know, everybody has to make a video about the big questions of One Piece, right? I've done that too. Like, what is the One Piece treasure? What's up with Laugh Tale, the Ancient Kingdom, the final part of this story? Ohara has those two videos on his channel, like the best One Piece theories, and then the best One Piece theory, but better. And I know Morge did a video a little while ago that was just the end of One Piece, right? Those are the things people really want to talk about related to this series, to really delve into Oda's work, analyze every little aspect of it, all the most important things that he's introduced in the story, and try to crack the code on the final saga. You know, what is the finale for the Straw Hat Pirates going to be? Hell, I just did a video with Sensei a couple days ago where we were talking about the Straw Hats going up against the Blackbeard Pirates and after Wano and how all that was going to shake down and everything like that. But you know what? Hey, if you want to go check out videos like that, talking about those kind of theories, those YouTubers, Ohara, Morge, everybody, they seem to have those locked down. No, today, I am Tekking101, damn it. I am the one that talks about random things. So here we are, all right, here we are. But first, I had to find the perfect random thing. What is the most trivial thing in the One Piece world? I didn't even know. You know, it's like, okay, because the thing is also, Oda puts so little, like, subtext into things well, he puts a lot of subtext into small things. You know, that's what he does. So there could be something that was introduced in the background in, like, chapter 2, and it turns out to be super relevant later on. In fact, he did do that. It was chapter 1, like, the Gumu Gumu no Mi, right? It was like some offhand comment by Lucky Roo, like, hey, we got this Gumu Gumu no Mi from our enemy ship. Boom! Flash forward 1,000 chapters, that is suddenly extraordinarily relevant. Remember during the Orangetown arc when we get Buggy's backstory and we see Rayleigh there, and then he shows up like 500 chapters later? You know, Oda does this type of shit all the time. So it's really hard to point to something in the story and just say, oh, that's completely trivial, that'll never be relevant in any way, shape, or form, okay? Because it's Oda we're talking about. And you know, I guess what I could do is just take a random volume of One Piece and just be like, oh, okay, I guess we'll just talk about this dude right here, this random person in level 5 in the Impel Down arc that was never given a name. I guess we could just talk about that guy. That's trivial. He doesn't matter, right? Of course. But then again, you never know, because Oda sometimes in data books and Vivra cards will pick out random people in the background and give them names. So you don't know. You know, that's sort of relevant. They showed up in a data book. If something shows up in a One Piece data book, can it really be considered 100% trivial? He took time out of his day to put effort into this, into a data book or a Vivra card entry, okay? So then I realized, okay, the true, most trivial thing in One Piece, and of course it isn't just one thing, there would be many things that are trivial, but one of the most trivial things in One Piece would have to be something that even Oda, Eiichiro Oda, the creator of this story, doesn't care about. Literally, it doesn't matter. He's never going to answer any questions related to it. Nobody would even ask any questions related to this until me, because it doesn't matter, right? So, with that being said, I sat down and started to think, okay, it has to be something that we know exists in the One Piece world, or at least its existence can be inferred. Okay, I can't just pick out any random thing, you know, like what I don't know, what does light speed travel matter in the... No, it actually does, because Kizaru exists. See, this is hard, you know? Okay, all right, but no. I finally sat down, took a while, and I came up with something, all right? Today's video is going to be about trash collection in the One Piece world. That's right. We're going to be talking about garbage cans, trash bags, garbage men existing in the One Piece world. What about recycling schedules? Because those are very relevant. I guess trash cans. We've seen trash cans in the One Piece world. They exist. Dumpsters, too. We've seen those. We know that Doflamingo and the rest of the Don Quixote family, you know, they had their crime operations in the North Blue, and it was based in Spider Miles. And Spider Miles was a waste processing plant, okay? On top of that, we know the Gray Terminal in the Goa Kingdom, you know, that was also a giant pile of trash. But I want to stop you right there, because I know a lot of people are going to go down in the comments and they're going to say, hey, Tekking, trash is not irrelevant in the One Piece world. What about the Gray Terminal? That was relevant. What about Spider Miles? Oh, no. We're not talking about those locations. I already talked about the Gray Terminal in the Goa Kingdom video, and I already talked about Spider Miles in the Doflamingo video and the North Blue video, okay? We're not talking about those locations specifically. We're just talking about plain, mundane, ordinary, boring as dirt trash collection policies and waste management policies in the One Piece world, okay? And you know what? Just because something is trivial and boring does not mean that you can find out interesting history about it. And that's what I did, and that's what we're here today. All right? So are you guys ready? Are you sure? Okay? All right. I feel like there's an echo coming off of this thing, so I'm going to put it down there. But anyway, yeah. You guys ready to talk about waste collection, trash, and recycling in the One Piece world? Okay, all right. So we know it exists because there's waste processing plants, okay? So let's start with the simple question. How does things get to the waste processing plant, okay? Because the One Piece world is a world mainly of water, right? Okay, so it's not the normal situation where you could just haul things off to a landfill. I mean, I'm sure certain islands would have landfills, and that got me thinking into the history of trash collection, because as long as there's humans on this planet, there will be trash, right? Of course, and that goes for the One Piece world too. In fact, the One Piece world is really fascinating because it exists in this sort of like anachronistic time period where people wear like modern clothing. Like there's modern like designer clothing, like Nami has like the designer clothing and stuff like that. There's electricity. We know for a fact electricity exists in the One Piece world because we see electric light bulbs. We see like the refrigerator on the Sunny. Okay, there's a fridge. It's a modern day kind of looking fridge. Okay, so it runs on electricity, right? Communications equipment exists in the form of the Den Den Mushi, right? So we have all that kind of stuff, like grocery stores, packaging. So you can go to a grocery store and you can buy packaged meat and stuff in the One Piece world. So that means trash collection has to be a thing. There has to be a system in place. And if there wasn't a system in place, there'd be trash freaking everywhere, right? Do you know how much trash is floating in our oceans right now? Look at the One Piece world. If that was the situation, if people were just chucking all their trash in the ocean, when the Straw Hats went down to Fishman Island, we'd be seeing banana peels and, you know, plastic bottles everywhere. I'm sure plastic or glass bottles definitely exist in the One Piece world. So trash is there, except it's remarkably clean. There's really no trash in the ocean. Maybe there's some type of like animal, like some breed of sea king that devours only trash in the One Piece world. Maybe. Who knows? Given Oda, he might actually create something like that, right? But, you know, most of the islands that we see, most of the villages, like even just look at Syrup Village. Not a speck of dirt. It doesn't, well, I mean, there's dirt roads, but not a speck of like trash on the side of the road or anything like that, which means at Syrup Village, there's got to be a garbage collection man. Except the one exception to that rule, like the whole like modern day things, like they have modern clothing, they have electricity, they have communications equipment, they do not have cars, okay? Because cars got sent into space at the end of JoJo's Part 2, of course, but no, they don't have cars, they don't have trucks, they don't have like garbage collection vehicles, right? So that means somebody has to be doing this by hand. There has to be people in the One Piece world employed by who, we'll get to that, in order to like, I don't know, carry around a cart or like a horse horse-drawn carriage or something in order to collect trash and then, you know, take it in bins, put it in dumpsters, and then carry it off to a landfill. Or, getting back to the whole waste processing plant thing, a garbage barge, all right? Because, you know, in big cities, you know, where trash is really, like, collected together, you know, like in New York City or whatever, they have these giant ships, these giant barges. They just load all the trash on the barge and then send it off to Garbage Island. I think that's an island the Straw Hats will probably never visit. You know, it's like, hey, Luffy, the New World log pose, it's pointing to that island that's shooting lightning out of the sky, that island that's spewing magma out of the ground, or Garbage Island. I don't think even Luffy would be like, ooh, Garbage Island, let's go there. You know, it's like, no. So that's the thing, though. Spider Miles in the North Blue was a giant waste processing facility. So it might be a thing where, like, every one of the blues has a giant, like, waste processing plant, like an island specifically meant to be the landfill of said island. And so all the other islands of the North send all their trash to one location, okay? Because a lot of the other towns, even towns like the Lelucia Kingdom, that's headed up by King Seki, the vampire dude, you know, where Peachbeard attacked, and we saw Moda there, and the Revolutionary Army showed up to liberate it. I mean, it was apparently a very cruel and oppressive town, but overall it seemed pretty damn clean, so there has to be people picking up trash and stuff, right? So that got me thinking into the history of trash collection, right? Oh, by the way, at this point you might be thinking, Tekking, is this literally going to be the whole video? Like, I don't know how long this video is going to be. We're about 11 minutes into it right now without me editing, but you're probably looking down there like, dude, this video is like over 25, 30 minutes long. The whole thing isn't about trash collection, right? Like, this is just a skit that's going way too far, right? We're going to talk about something else at some point, right? It's like, you keep thinking that, buddy. Okay, so getting back to it, the history of trash collection, right? So I went to our world because Oda adapts a lot of stuff from, you know, our world into One Piece and history and everything like that. So I went back and like, okay, before trash collection programs and like waste management companies existed and recycling existed really in like a proper like uniform way, how did people in our world handle trash, right? Because even before you have processed goods like, you know, plastic and shit everywhere, you know, people still had trash. Sorry, Barry. People still had trash. So I'm like, how did they handle it? So I went back and looked it up. Gnosis, Crete, in around 3000 BC, was the site of the first confirmed landfill that like archaeologists have ever discovered, okay? And so that was the basic idea before modern trash collection. It was essentially bury it or burn it, because those were the two things that we knew how to do really back then. It's like, well, we know how to dig holes and we know how to light things on fire, so you have your choice. Either dig a giant hole and throw all your trash into there and just bury it, which is what they did in Gnosis, Crete, and a bunch of different locations for a very long time, or they would just get all the trash together and just burn it, okay? And so that's how it happened, right? So in One Piece, I would imagine it's a similar thing where, you know, there's people on certain islands whose job it is to just dig giant holes, throw trash into the giant holes, and then cover it. But once again, I remind you, it's weird because it would be like, imagine if you didn't have access to modern day technology like trucks or whatever, but you still had modern day waste, like plastics and things, you know, like, and also a lot of people that were using it and generating it. So it's like, there's no way, like, you wouldn't be able to keep up, you know, eventually with all the waste products accumulating and stuff. There has to be some secret to this in the One Piece world, right? I don't know. So that was in Gnosis, Crete. Then I looked into the history of the trash can, which I recommend everybody do. Everybody go and look up the history of the trash can. It's actually quite interesting. You have a guy named Eugene Poubelle who existed in the 19th century. He was French, and he was like a government representative guy, and he was the one that really solidified what it is to mean as like modern trash collection, as in like, here is a trash can. In fact, that whole, you know, like, nobody really uses these anymore. Like, most people use, like, those plastic trash cans that have, like, wheels and stuff, and, like, the little flappy lid. That's what I have. But, like, when it comes to the old school dustbin, you know, a big metal dustbin with the lid, that's Eugene Poubelle, baby. In fact, in France, to this day, Poubelle is literally the name for a trash can. That's like, which I don't even really know. Like, I guess it adheres to his legacy, because that's what mostly he did his entire life, trying to make a better, waste production life for everybody, trying to make the world a cleaner, better place for everybody, have some way to dump their crap other than just in the hole outside, or just, back in the day, they would also just like throw their trash in the street. Like, people didn't care. And that's not just like waste products that they accumulate, also your own waste. Like, back in like London, you'd have people just taking giant buckets of like piss and shit and just spilling it out of the freaking windows into the street, okay? And then this guy, Eugene Poobell, comes along and he's like, I'm gonna fix this. And then it's like, okay, they name it the Poobells. I mean, I guess it's his legacy, but whatever. I don't know how he would feel about that. I guess he'd be okay with it, right? Well, anyway, Eugene Poobell, he invented that kind of stuff, all right? And so there was also a guy named Gustav Schlossky in 1893, and he invented what would later be known as basically the trash bag. It was a more primitive version of the trash bag, and that was basically the idea. The trash bag combined with the trash can, pretty good duo there, okay? And you might laugh and you might say, well, you probably might not laugh. You might just be sitting there like, ugh. But at the end of the day, this is really important. This is part of modern society, right? Also, by the way, have you guys ever noticed that trash bags like this one kind of have like wording that's very similar to condoms? So it's like hefty, ultra strong, multi-purpose. I'm not really sure about that one, but expandable strength. It's like, there you go. But yeah. So trash cans and stuff, there has to be an equivalent to Eugene Poobell in the One Piece world, right? Somebody had to invent a trash can. I know, in a world where there's magical devil fruits that give you superpowers, and people can learn hockey and all these different martial arts, and there's revolutionaries trying to overthrow the world government, and there's the Marines, and there's all these really strong pirates and the Yonko and everything, it's kind of sad to think that somewhere there's just a dude, an old man, sitting in his house in the middle of the South Blue or whatever, and he's like, I'm designing the trash can. It might not be the most glamorous thing in the world, but it's something people need to use, all right? So somebody had to invent the trash can. And then, in addition to that, there's gotta be some sort of governmental body, some sort of structure set up in place for trash collection, right? Right? Like, that has to be the case. There's giant waste processing plants, so they have to get regular deliveries. People have to keep track of this stuff. This is the kind of stuff in the One Piece world you don't think about. You're too busy thinking about, oh, well, the One Piece treasure, that's super cool. Yeah, it's super cool and glamorous, but I don't think Luffy and the gang would be all that happy sailing through a literal ocean of trash to get to the One Piece, right? Absolutely, okay? So that means, like, there has to exist somewhere in the world government's vast infrastructure, there has to exist a department that handles waste management and the schedule for waste management and organizing garbage barges to go to the various islands. And there's got to be like a recycling schedule kind of situation, right? Like, that has to exist. So I find that just hilarious, where it's like you got the world government, this symbol of like absolute totalitarian power, where you have Eam, the mysterious, figurehead that rules over all of it in the shadows. And then you have the Gorosei that are sitting in this immaculate room of authority. Ah, yes, we must figure out how to handle the Straw Hat Pirates and the Yonko and the typical, piratey things of the day. And then we have the Marines that are like the strong arm of the government. They're out there, with their Logia powers, all the admirals fighting against different pirates and everything like that, waging war with the Yonko. And then, somewhere in Marijois, somewhere in Castle Pangea, like way tucked in the back is like a little tiny little closet. There's like, I don't know, a guy named Jerry, and he's just sitting there, and he's just in charge of handling waste management in the world. Like, he's the head of it, right? It's kind of like in the United States, we have different departments, okay? And there's like 16 departments to the U.S. government, and each one, like the Department of the Treasury, Justice Department, Department of the Interior, that kind of stuff. I don't think there's a Department of Waste Management. That would probably go under... There's a Department of Health and Human Services, and then there's a Department of Housing and Urban Development, so maybe it's in one of those. But, like, that's my point. Like, there has to be somebody somewhere that's managing this stuff, right? 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 How do the people of the One Piece world, know when the trash pickup day is? There has to be some kind of bulletin board in the town so they can wake up. There's Mike that runs the bakery. He gets up every day and it's like, hey, it's trash day. I better make sure to take out my trash onto the curb so, Bill with the trash cart can walk down the street and pick it up and like, hey, thanks, Mike. Here, have a croissant. Thanks, man. That's great. It's like, well, it's trash. I got to carry it to the barge and it's departing at noon exactly. And he's like, yep, that's how trash collection works in this world. Absolutely. Remember to leave all your cardboard and stuff out next week because those things exist. It's like, yeah, exactly, right? Oh, man. There's an infrastructure to this. There has to be. There has to be. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, like I said, this has to be the most effective trash and recycling system that exists. Way more, like leaps and bounds above ours. Because it's like, there's no trash. We really don't see it anywhere. Yeah, every now and then we'll see like a really messed up like area that's really oppressed by like a king or something. And we might see some trash there. But hey, look, you can shit on Doflamingo all you want. He kept the streets of Dressrosa pretty damn clean. Actually, in Dressrosa, it was really messed up because that's actually one of the few times we did see like trash cans or dumpsters and they were relevant because the toys, when the toys were defective or when they tried to talk to the humans, the toys would be grabbed and then thrown down like into the scrap bin into the underworld of Dressrosa, so they would work at the port. So, that was a trash bin, but they were used for like other purposes, right? Not just specifically for trash, right? And so overall, Dressrosa was kept pretty clean. You know who else ruled over their island with an iron fist but kept it pretty clean? Arlong. Arlong ruled over Kokoyashi for 10 years, and overall it looked pretty tropical, pretty nice. Look at the streets. You don't see any trash, and I think that was because of Arlong's policy for if you can't pay the cash, then you're out with the trash, implying that there was trash pickup days in Kokoyashi Village. In fact, I guess it makes the most sense that fishmen and merfolk, two species in the One Piece world that live in the ocean, would have a vested interest to keep trash out of the ocean, all right? The Fishman Island pirates, they took over Kokoyashi. There's going to be trash pickup 4 times a week. We are not screwing with this shit. Because here's the thing you have to understand, and we've seen this throughout our history, right? If humans are not good at separating our waste, whether it be our literal waste or just like our, waste, from our living lives, then we can end up getting sick. And that's how things like plagues and stuff start, okay? Like, just go and look the way the situation was with London during the time of the Black Plague. It was horrible, right? And so, every once in a while, we'll get an island where people are sick with some sort of disease. We've gotten that before in One Piece. But usually when people are sick, it's not because of trash. Like, for example, the Amber Lead Syndrome in Flevance, that wasn't because they didn't have enough trash pickup. It was because they were mining an ore that was literally poisonous. Okay, or like the plague that afflicted the Shandorians during Nolan's backstory. That was because of the trees that grew on their island that gave off like a poisonous sap or resin. Okay, it was because of trash collection. So we haven't seen that. We haven't seen any mass plagues in the One Piece world, which means the trash collectors in this world are like a cut above the rest. They are the true heroes of the One Piece world, I gotta say, because they're keeping all these islands clean. They're on top of things. This system has to be the most effective, like runs like clockwork, like everybody is where they need to be. All the citizens of the One Piece world, like, holy crap, Mary, we gotta take out the trash. Oh, Dave, you can just wait a day or so. You don't have to take it out. No, Mary, we need to take the trash out now. And so they take out the trash. Everybody takes out their trash. Everybody sorts recycling things correctly in every single bin. The recycling system is on point. Nobody is ever late. The garbage barge is always there. The people are working like, day after day, back-to-back overtime shifts to make this right. Because otherwise, they would have to, without trucks or anything, without any sort of like modern day processing equipment, they would have to do this kind of stuff, because otherwise there'd be trash everywhere, shit in the streets. This is a pirate themed manga, remember pirates weren't exactly known for being the cleanliest people on the planet, right? So there'd be people having like the Black Plague would be on every island. The Straw Hats would arrive on an island and be like, oh yeah, there's trash everywhere in the streets, people are eating out of it, you know, it's disgusting. There's the Black Plague on this island, so have fun, Straw Hats, right? The fact that that's not the case, and it really is a land of whimsy and wonder, wherever the Straw Hats go, has to establish the trash collectors and the guy Jerry that's working at Marijois, sitting in his little corner office, making memos. He's on top of things. God bless you, Jerry. You're doing the work. You're making sure the One Piece world is clean and tidy, and making sure it's clean of all these plagues and diseases, and Jerry doesn't even get acknowledged. Jerry literally works in, like there's so many cool offices in Castle Pangaea. Castle Pangaea is, like, huge, right? He's not even in Castle Pangaea. Jerry's office is, like, not even the back shed. There's like a regular shed outside where the groundskeepers work, and they make sure to, like, you know, sculpt the grass and the hedges of Castle Pangaea to make it look really nice. And then behind that shed, there's a crappy old wooden shed that's been there for like 70 years, and it's falling apart, and it's filled with like termites and stuff, and that's Jerry's office, right? Little post-it note is just there. Hold on. It's just like, you know, it's like this. You know, it's like that crappy little shed. There's a little post-it note on the door. It's like, World Government, Waste Management, Jerry Smith. You know, come on in. And he's in there, and he's working his fingers to the bone, and nobody cares. Because, oh, Big Mom and Kaido have an alliance. Oh, the Straw Hat Pirates are doing stuff. Oh, Dragon's trying to lead a revolution. Well, none of this stuff would get done without Jerry. I think that's everything I wanted to cover. Was that everything I wanted to cover? Yeah, I think that's everything we wanted to cover. All right, so, how did I do? How was that for a trivial video? We didn't quite make 30 minutes, but we made it pretty close. This is longer than an average video. I've made videos about topics that were way more important, infinitely more important than this, that have ended at, like, the 22-minute mark, okay? And we've passed that up, so, yeah. Trash collection in the One Piece world. Is that truly, though, here's how I want to end this. Is that truly the most trivial thing in the One Piece world? Can you think of something even more trivial? Something that even doesn't matter beyond that? Let me know. Let me know. There were some other ideas I had for this. I was going to talk about economics in the One Piece world. Economics, whatever. I was going to talk about economics in the One Piece world, but there's two problems with that. Number one, that actually is kind of relevant because the underworld and like a black market exists, so that kind of does exist in the One Piece world. Also, I know nothing about economics, so I wouldn't have any sort of insight there. There's another idea I had, is like, what about schooling in the One Piece world? Because we never see anybody really going to school or learning stuff. But then that actually got me into, like, I might do a whole video about that, because, like, the idea of, like, the world government issuing, like, school books for kids to read and how they would learn. So that's some, like, 1984 type shit. That might actually become, like, its own video to talk about that. But, yeah, let me know. What is the most trivial thing in all of One Piece? Or if I nailed it, let me know. This will be Tekking101. And Barry, signing out. Later, everybody. Hey guys, Serious Tekking here at the end. So while this might be a very trivial thing in the One Piece world, like, you know, trash collection, you know, waste collection, like, who cares? In our world, it's slightly more of a big issue. In fact, a really big issue. And in the process of making this video, when I was getting all the images of our, like, trash that we've collected and, like, trash in our oceans and stuff, it's really shitty. And I remember, like, quite literally really shitty. And I remember Mr. Beast is right now doing a campaign with TeamSeas.org to raise a lot of money to clean the trash out of the ocean. And this campaign started in October, and it's going until the end of the year. So I thought this would be actually the perfect video at the end here to mention that, to go check out TeamSeas.org. I'll leave a link in the description below, and it has a cool little calculator there where it's like, you know, this amount of money that you donate will be able to clean this many pounds out of the trash out of the ocean. So make sure to go check that out below and support the cause, because there's really just tremendous amounts of trash floating out there in the ocean. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for the support. Tekking and Barry, signing out.